Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in to another edition of the Passion and Precision podcast. You already know who we are. I'm Kyle, jumping the bit, other shows on here. Obviously, I have Jory Sports Stories. Jory, how are you doing tonight?
It's been a long week. Allergies have
Nice.
been whooping my tail.
hmm
From stormy weather on Monday that scared the crap out of me. That was Monday, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And then today is almost 90 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's to try to figure out what the Earth, weather and all that's trying to do. It's way too higher than our pay grade. Like it is crazy being in the South with it, and it's like a couple of days it's gonna be cooler again. Like I don't know, it's crazy how people
And
aren't just like constantly battling a cold or something. I'll never know.
yeah, because it's terrible.
hmm
Granted, it washes all of that pollen off. But if you're like me and you're allergic to outside, it still stinks. But I'm having a good time. Having a good week. It's been a long week and I'm excited to talk some sports.
Right, and look, that's what we're gonna do. It's we're obviously gonna touch on some NFL have I guess a situation that could lead to a messy divorce. We've got new leagues that are being talked about. We've got quarterbacks that are in the news for varying reasons that we'll touch on. Then we'll obviously go to the NBA. We're going to talk about the NBA looking at possibly a new league. Memphis has been in the spotlight for the past couple of days. We'll touch on that as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this news that came across that I don't know how many of you tuning in may have heard this, but apparently there are groups that are submitting bids to the NFL to create a pro football pro football flag league, a men's and a women's league. And Goodell basically said like they're interested in it, they're looking more into it, and they feel like with the boom of flag football amongst like the younger ranks, it's a league that could do really well. And the fact there are people who are willing to invest in it, I think, speaks to probably the interest that would be out there. So I think there's some celebrities tied to it as well. Like I think Serena and Eli Manning and a few others who are, I guess, trying to get involved in this. I mean, I think it's a no brainer to get this going, especially when you have flag football going to be in the Olympics. Why not have it as a pro sport? I mean, would you see any? I mean, would you watch it? I guess a pro men women's league. Would you want them to be same league, like a co-ed league, or would you want them separated? Like, what would you think about a flag football league?
First of all, they introduced flag football as a sport the year after I graduated high school.
Yeah.
That stunk. I'm
Right.
like, you kidding me? Because I would have had something to do all throughout high school. I
hmm
would have played flag. And now you tell me that there's going to be a professional league. Let me get in
hmm
shape.
Okay. Well, there you
Put
go.
me in. Shoot. But I think
Yeah.
it's a great thing, in all honesty. It does expand the league to more eyes because, with flag football being an Olympic sport, why not have a pro league? And with especially women's flag football is growing as a sport because
hmm
every year you see it, like the Pro Bowl last year.
Yep.
So I'm like, I love the direction. It's a little more inclusive. I like it. And I think it's a great thing for the sport, honestly.
Yeah, because you brought up the kind of the boom with girls playing, and according to National Federation of High Schools, about 500,000 girls between ages 6 and 17 played flag football in 2023. So like that, those kind of numbers and that kind of growth, it'd be crazy not to tap into. And look, maybe we get to the point where each team kind of has their own flag football representation, which maybe you have like players showing up and dedicating some time to talk to players and all that on their flag football team. It becomes like a real community effort. I can't see anything that would go wrong doing this. And I think it is good that people are trying to invest in it already because it just gives the league more incentive to go ahead and go through with it. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I don't see why it wouldn't happen. I guess the question will only be when.
Like, why do all these things want to become a thing when I'm either not eligible for it or I'm past my athletic prime? And I'm not past my athletic prime yet. I'm 24 years old. Don't get it twisted. I can still skedaddle.
Right. Yeah. Well, if they do it soon enough, because it says Goodell said that they're aggressively exploring creating separate leagues for men and women. So they're being aggressive with it, which means they've probably gone down the line a little bit and are maybe trying to hammer out some things. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I think that would be great. I mean, look, you put a sport on TV, I'm going to watch it anyway. I would definitely watch the flag football stuff. All right, so now going from that to situation in Cincinnati that we spent all offseason looking at T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. What's going to happen with those two? When all this time there was a third star player waiting for the opportunity to re-sign or whatever in Trey Hendrickson. Well, like I said, Higgins and Chase got taken care of. Hendrickson was allowed to seek a trade. Nothing's really come about from that. Well, we did get kind of an update where someone within the Bengals system basically came out and said, we've offered Trey Hendrickson a contract. I'm paraphrasing. Basically saying like if Trey Hendrickson was being honest with himself, the Bengals offer is a good offer. And I mean, kept going, kind of saying like, once Trey kind of realizes it, he'll sign it. Like it's a risky path to go down to tell somebody, I mean, without us knowing as the public what those details are, that we've offered a competitive offer. It's just that Trey almost doesn't know his value and his worth. He clearly views himself a little bit more than the Bengals offer, than the Bengals think that he should. So is there any chance after this, and I don't know how you felt before this, but is there any chance Trey Hendrickson is a Bengal next season?
Allow me to be his anger translator. Lady, who the hell is you talking to? Who are you talking to? Like, huh?
Yeah.
Talking about, because the way I kind of took her comments is like, we put an offer on the table. He should be happy that he should be happy with that offer. That's on him if he thinks he's worth higher. Excuse me. I'm like, the hell is this? I'm like, how long has Trey Hendrickson been a part of the Bengals his entire career, right?
Yes.
He's been there for about what, 6-7 years? 4 or 5?
That's a good question. I believe it's 7 years.
So you mean to tell me that I done been here for 6 to 7 years of my freaking career, playing my ass off?
I stand corrected. He was actually in New Orleans for 4 years. I completely forgot that part of his career. And then he's been in Cincinnati for 4 years.
So you mean to tell me you brought me here 4 years ago to help improve the defense, And I've not only did that, I've become your damn star on defense. And you did this crap with me last year. You're pulling this crap on me this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little disturbed. Like, and then I'm like, first of all, I'm like, who are you talking about like this? The defense was porous last year, and I had, how many sacks did he have? Like 17 and a half?
Yep, exactly. 17 and a half.
Take me off of it, because you finna find out. You finna F around and find out. Because with comments like that, if I'm Trey Hendrickson, I'm like, y'all gonna have to move me or cut me, because I'm not playing a goddamn down. That was disrespectful. Disrespectful. You don't disrespect your biggest defensive player when you're about who's looking for a contract, talking about that's what we think he's worth, and if he thinks he's worth higher than that, then that's on him, and da 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 da. But we all know what you're doing, because you allowed him to seek a trade, and then you keep asking these astronomically high ass compensation package that no team is willing to pay. So quit playing around with him. You either gonna trade him or cut him at this point. I'm tired of it. I'm like, if I'm Trey Hendrickson, I'm like, trade me or cut me. I will not be playing come week 1. And he said he's willing to sit out the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm making a demand. If you want to be like that,
we haven't heard other players say that and then back off of it. So I do hope that Trey Hendrickson is digging his.
She just gave him a million reasons why to stand on damn business.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
I'm like, a lot of players say that and don't do it, but she just gave him a million reasons to do it.
Mm-hmm. And she's also giving
already got 99 problems. Let me add one for you.
Right. And she's giving fans a reason to now put pressure on the organization to sign Trey Hendrickson. Bengals fans understand that defense stunk last year. And the only thing good about it was Hendrickson's pressure from the D-line. So now if you take that away from that defense, which is already bad on the back end, how much worse do you think that's going to make them? Now, unless you think you're going to find the next Trey Hendrickson in the draft, then yeah, maybe this is the path you want to go down, where you're trying to pit yourself against the player and trying to make it seem like you're giving him good money. He's the one holding out because he thinks he's worth more. If you think you're going to win that one in the court of public opinion, then feel free to continue down that road. But I think Bengals fans have seen enough from that organization to know there's a good chance that they're lowballing him. Because they don't pay anybody.
You know they're trying to be cheap.
Yeah.
They took a step out. They put a toe in the water being expensive with these 2 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They getting ready to go right back to being cheap.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I do not want to be here. I'm not playing for her. Think about it. If your boss says some crap like that to you, what would you do?
Right. Especially to do it out in public now.
In the public, on national television. She said
that
on national television.
It was picked up national
Might as well
television.
have been. Yeah. The press conference was aired out on ESPN and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she said it. It was an interview, I believe.
Yeah. Cincinnati is, and I think Vegas still has them like 9.5 wins or something, which we'll probably look more at that a different week. But I would love to see what that number would go to once, Hendrickson either makes it known he's holding out and sitting out, or they do trade him like a draft night trade type of thing. If they do that, I don't know. But yeah, this definitely seems like we've seen the last of Hendrickson in a Bengals jersey, unless the Bengals want to all of a sudden up their deal and I guess meet the value that Hendrickson has put on himself.
But if I'm a Hendrickson, I'm like, do I want to play? Because that was disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
That was disrespectful. To sit here and tell me that I'm delusional about how much I see that I'm worth is flat. That's flat out disrespect.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not
For a
delusional.
guy, for a guy who put up numbers, crazy.
I'm not delusional if my stats show it's Miss Smooth Brain. That was an airheaded comment. She shouldn't have said that one.
Mm-hmm. And this is all he's done in his 4 years in Cincinnati. 14 sacks in 2021. He had 8 sacks in 2022, down year. 17 and a half 2023, 17 and a half 2024. That's not production you replace just like that. Like, that's a guy who's at the top of his position. And they I don't know, they're trying to play hardball with him. I agree with you from Hendrickson. And that came out. I'm like, I'm telling my agent, forget negotiating at this point. Because whatever number you put out there at this point, you're not going to meet what I want. So trade him, or he's going to sit, and you're still not going to have anybody to play his spot that can do it like he can.
What you gonna do? Draft a bunch of rookies
and hope that they can match his 17 and a half sacks? Sure.
and hope
Mm-hmm.
in that division.
Yep. I don't know. Cincinnati is.
How moronic.
Yeah. And I was crazy to think when they did the Higgins and Chase deal, I thought maybe Henderson was going to come around next.
I knew Hendrickson wasn't getting done when they did them too. I said, there's no possible way that they're going to do all three. We're going to do all three. I said, y'all lying y'all damn ass off. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And they still have time to prove me wrong. But with this being said, I highly doubt that it gets done now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But now, if they know that, then they might as well trade him and get something for him. Because why not at this point? It's something that we'll definitely keep our eye on and see how it progresses from here. But to go from the Bengals situation with Trey Hendrickson down to our neck of the country with Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. Yes, Kirk Cousins is still a member of the Atlanta Falcons after all that went on last season. Penix taking over the job, then learning that Kirk was hurt, but apparently the Falcons didn't know how hurt he was or something. Then there was this deadline that if they kept him was going to trigger some roster bonus. They kept him through the deadline. Then it was, I guess Kirk wants to go to the Browns, but the Falcons and Browns can't agree on anything. So now Kirk is like, hey, Atlanta, why don't you just cut me? That way I can go over there and we can resolve all of it. And that's where we are with Kirk Cousins right now. There's so much that's going on with this, and it's probably the most Atlanta thing. It's the most Falcons thing to do. Have a guy that you don't want and doesn't want to be there, but you keep him around to give him a roster bonus, and you're not trading him. So what do you make of this situation, and where do you think this situation ends?
Kirk. Really?
Mm-hmm.
You think the Falcons are going to cut you with no type of compensation? Eat that dead cap for you. And if you think if your delusional ass thinks the Browns are going to take any of your cap on in a trade, you have lost your mind, Kirko.
Yeah.
Put the chains down. Like, what? He wants to get cut. You are 37 years old. You might as well go and just, at this point, enjoy the money that you're about to swindle out of Atlanta. Because it's done. I said that 3 years ago, but it's done. I mean that for real, because I'm like, you're 37 and you still have a recent Achilles injury. That was still kind of recent.
Yeah.
And you don't heal the same after 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Falcons look just as stupid because everybody knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody knew this was going to happen. Now you got a $30 million backup who doesn't want to be a backup, who thinks he can start.
Right.
He probably could. But again, who is going to sign up for that experience? Especially coming off how he ended.
I mean, it makes sense that he's targeting Cleveland. Because look at the Cleveland quarterback situation. Deshaun Watson, who it seems like forever ago that we got the news of him rupturing his Achilles while recovering from the ruptured Achilles. Then it's Kenny Pickett, which I always have to hesitate with that to remember that Kenny Pickett's now in Cleveland. And now, if you added Kirk Cousins to that, the amount of money tied up into the quarterback room for you to hopefully just be mid, like it's bad business. And the crazy part is Atlanta actually does want to deal him, but they don't want to deal him to Cleveland if they're not going to get back in return what they want.
Exactly.
And this is the reason why when they made that pick on draft night at number 8 and taking Michael Penix, why it was so head scratching. Because at worst, Penix becomes a good quarterback, and you gave $100 million to Kirk Cousins for whatever reason. Now you're stuck. And obviously, if you're Atlanta, you were hoping that maybe Kirk Cousins would have played well. You put Penix in, you decide to stick with Penix, and then teams would come knocking down your door to take Kirk Cousins off your hands. That's not happening when he's hurt.
Let this be the last quarterback contract that Terry Fontenot gets to royally mess up.
Yeah.
He's the problem.
That's usually a fireable offense. Handle this the way that this situation is playing out. Usually, you don't make it past.
Mismanaged.
Yeah.
And not mismanaged in a sneaky way. You mismanaged in a way that mismanaged this crap in a way that everybody saw this coming.
Mm-hmm. So
everybody saw it coming. Fontenot is a horrendous GM. And it's time to say that. He is terrible. He needs to go.
Yep.
And until he goes and they get somebody that's actually competent in that front office, they will do nothing. They will just go on these windows of looking good or putting together half teams, half at a time, and by the time the other half is good, the half that was actually good is starting to age and wane and get holes and pieces and stuff in it. You're always going to be 1 or 2 pieces away. Until the front office improves in Atlanta, ain't ish gonna change. And that is a fact. Fontenot is terrible. This is the same, I believe this is the same GM that forced out Matt Ryan with no answer behind him.
Yeah, I think Fontenot was there. Yeah. That might have been. Yeah, he was there for that. And I never liked the way Matt Ryan was treated in Atlanta. Like, the fans never fully embraced him, and I get it because he basically took over for their beloved Michael Vick and everything like
Yeah.
that. I get
He
that.
had to, how the after Brady
Yeah.
thing, that's what happened to, that's exactly what happened to Matt Ryan. But
Hmm.
Matt Ryan was a damn good quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
he
sorry
had,
he got cursed to go to the Colts.
yeah. Well, I mean, as it turned out, the Colts is just where like every veteran quarterback was going before they were out the door. Him, Philip Rivers, all these, yeah. But yeah, so Kirk can want to go to Cleveland as much as he wants, but it's probably not going to happen. And Kirk's best bet would be the Browns not taking a quarterback, obviously, at 2. So let's say they go Abdul Carter. And then hoping that maybe they can get a quarterback in the second round. Maybe they don't get one there either. And if the Browns come out of this draft not getting a quarterback outside of one that's probably developmental, then maybe, they up their offer to Atlanta and make it more feasible for them to send Kirk Cousins their way. But if not, then yeah, just sit back, hold that clipboard, and watch your bank account go up for not having to put your body through the rigors of an NFL season. Like, it's not going to look bad on you. Like, every time Falcons players look on that sideline and see Kirk Cousins just standing there, it's going to make them more and more mad with the team that they did this to themselves.
Because what does Kirk Cousins' contract handicap you from doing?
I mean, there's
A lot.
plenty.
A lot.
Yeah, that's money that could have been
You
used
need
on.
you got rid of Brady Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, if you didn't have damn near $100 million in debt space because of Cousins, you could have upholstered the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
The skill positions that you've drafted outside of Drake London, who I like,
Mm-hmm.
terrible.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is a bust.
Mm-hmm.
He's a myth.
Yeah. It's just a long line of it.
It's a long line of it.
Yeah, because even the Bijan draft pick, it was like Tyler Algier literally just ran for 1,000 yards.
And you draft another running back. You dumb idiot. This is why I'm talking about. Terry Fortno is terrible. So now you got 2 running backs who are both capable of doing 1,000 yards, which I'm glad, because I like to do a running back system. That's where they did. That's the one bright spot.
Yes.
Outside of Drake London.
Right. And they've needed pass rushers for how many years now, and have neglected to take one. Yeah.
They've needed pass rushers since Adrian Claiborne. How freaking long ago was that?
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was that?
Yeah. Like, they need to start there.
Because I'm like, I remember, I grew up watching Adrian Claiborne.
Mm-hmm.
And you mean to tell me the last time that he was in a Falcons uniform, and one of the most memorable games in his final years as a Falcon was when he went and destroyed Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all did nothing with that year. That was 28-3. Remember that? That was that year.
They basically tried one draft pick, Vic Beasley. And Vic Beasley was horrible. And it seemed like from that they were like, well, we're not going to just waste draft picks on pass rushers at college who put up big numbers because they don't work. Well, then that points to your scouting department or your coaching staff. I mean, I wasn't a big Vic Beasley, fan when they drafted him either, but they just keep trying guys who failed at other places, because they tried it. It was Dante Fowler, who failed in Jacksonville, and Atlanta picked him up. He did nothing, and it's just been a long line of guys like that. So my hope would be this year, first round, it's either a pass rusher or a D lineman who can pressure up the middle
They're going to
to
get a receiver.
replace what Grady Jarrett used to do, but they let him walk out the door. That better be your first round pick, and it better not be some wide receiver or whatever.
You know it's going to be a receiver.
It probably will be. Yeah.
Like, you know, I have no hope that the front office will do anything different. They're going to draft a receiver.
Yeah. Probably. Or another tight end to try to fix the Kyle Pitts situation.
You know what? If they draft another tight end in the first round, and this is not a necessarily tight end good, deep draft, if the entire city of Atlanta decided to riot, I'm outside my house with my popcorn, sweeping the street, because I'm like, that's deserved.
Yes.
But it's the most Atlanta thing that they could do: draft a receiver. And I'm like, there's plenty of receivers that'll be in the second round.
Yeah.
Go get you an edge rusher.
Yeah. Like it's so simple. And look, maybe they do that because they saw what the Eagles did with their pass rush and go, let's try to copy that.
And why the hell are the Cardinals pulling together some of these good players and the Falcons can't do it?
Well, that speaks to the front office.
Cardinals managed to land Josh Sweat. And what did the Falcons do? Jack squat.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we still have a few months before next season starts. I know both of us will pay close attention to, what the Falcons do with their draft picks, because if they go out and draft a receiver, something that's not a pass rusher, they will get clowned on here the show after. Like there's no chance we're gonna let that one go.
And the show after, because the draft starts on a Thursday, so the day after I'm ripping them. If they go a receiver or any skill position other than pass rusher or linebacker, I wouldn't even mind that. Do something different. Stop getting all these high-graded skill positions that you don't need.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that they're going to get a wide receiver in the first round. They might try to get a pass rusher in the second. How much you want to bet they draft another running back?
Yeah. Yeah, they probably will.
Why is this so predictable?
I mean, look, there's a good chance, Algier his contract's probably up soon, so they'll justify it. They'll justify the wide receiver pick with got a young quarterback, give him as many weapons as you can. So, we know how teams love to spin whatever they do. I don't know. The Falcons are an interesting group. And they're kind of lucky that the division that they play in, that they sometimes get away with it. But
with what the Panthers have done,
Panthers should be improved.
Had a better offseason than the Falcons.
Yeah. Now you give the Panthers a strong draft. I mean, they could compete for the division next season.
I want them to. I'll have them as a dark horse.
Okay.
Because I love the way they ended last season, unlike Atlanta. I need to see more from Penix Jr. Yeah. To be honest, they inserted him too late.
Yeah.
They should have switched quarterbacks the second Kirk started to do all that nonsense. That's on Raheem for mismanaging that.
Yeah, didn't it basically take like a 3-game losing streak that forced them to kind of go to Penix? And I agree. when they lost like the first game, you could see Kirk slipping. Then there was the second game, and yeah.
Even if you wanted to give Kirk a game,
Mm-hmm.
all right, you were off. Then after the next game, switch.
Yeah. Yep. But that's Atlanta gonna do Atlanta things. Yeah. So look, Kirk Cousins, we talked about, not the only quarterback situation that's making headlines. It's another week, another show where the Steelers still don't have a quarterback, even though, as was Art Rooney said, all signs are pointing positive to Aaron Rodgers. He took the picture with DK Metcalf. There's really no other place for him to go. Why is this taking so long? That's what I need to know. Rodgers has no other option. He wanted Minnesota. Minnesota said, "We're good. We're going with JJ." I can't remember who their backup is, but they'll go with that as they have it right now. They don't want the Aaron Rodgers headache. He obviously wasn't going to go back to the Jets. Cleveland does not seem like an option for him. The Giants were an option for like 2 snaps, and then they went out with James Winston.
They got tired of him.
So he's clearly not going there either. And it's like, unless you retire, you clearly want to play football next season. Pittsburgh's the only spot for you. I guess I can't put it all on him because maybe Pittsburgh is slow playing this as well. Even though I don't understand what their reason would be. Your number one quarterback right now is Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is a, valuable backup, but you don't want Mason Rudolph starting 17 games in the season. So as much as Tomlin can say, yeah, but it's like, as much as Tomlin can say, "Oh, we have faith in Mason, we trust Mason," no, you don't.
We know he's lying like hell. We know that's just corporate. That's just corporate.
Yeah.
You got to say that to stop hurting people's feelings. We know you lying.
Yeah.
And that's why he was up there sweating like that.
So it's just like,
lying with his teeth.
Yeah, it was just like, why are we waiting to make this official? Like, just announce the signing, do the whole, dog and pony show with Rodgers up there with the jersey and his little press conference where he'll probably, sound so, approachable and nice and all this kind of stuff. When we know once he steps on the field, it's going to be much like last season with the Jets.
You know what I just thought about? That's a lot of freaking egos in that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. That is an explosive locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Just waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers is not going to be able to talk sense into George Pickens.
You'd like to think he wouldn't, no.
He's not going to be able to.
Nope.
And you got 2 certified crash dummies at receivers.
Yep. And the minute you misplace a deep ball to either one of them, that's going to set into motion them losing their mind. Yeah.
And let Aaron throw a pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even going to block. They're not studying the person who has the pick. They're going to fight the blocker.
Mm-hmm.
They've both done it.
Yeah. Or let him underthrow him a couple of times. Like, yeah, it is not. Doesn't seem like it's the best thing for Rodgers or the Steelers.
That's an unstable ass offense. Emotionally unstable.
Yeah. But the problem is they both need each other. That's the problem.
And then you're about to be led by a delusional diva who thinks he's an enigma.
Mm-hmm.
This next football season gonna be something else.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you it will be. Can you just imagine all of that? That's a lot of personality Mike Tomlin got to manage. I don't know how he do it. I don't know how he do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's like, you're bringing Aaron Rodgers, you better get off to a good start, because we know at this point, if the team starts going south, Rodgers is not the type to kind of rally everybody around it and dig themselves out of that. They'll just go deeper in. And Pickens and Metcalf, as we said, they are 2 really emotional guys ready to go off at any moment. So if they see the team as like a sinking ship, that's just going to lead to more outbursts with them. And then all that could just lead to Tomlin losing his job, which is something that Rooney doesn't want to do. Like the guys who've been there before, whether it's Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and now Tomlin. Cowher literally left and went into TV. I can't sit here and tell you I know what happened to Chuck Noll because that's way before me. But it's just like Rooney doesn't fire coaches. But if you bring all this together and they flame out terribly, the calls for Tomlin's job are going to be probably too loud for Rooney to ignore. Even though Tomlin is a good coach, yes, but
he may be a coach killer.
Mm-hmm.
And the only coach he ain't got fired yet was LaFleur, and LaFleur's like, I'm gonna get you up out of here before you do me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I applaud Matt LaFleur for that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm not gonna keep fighting with this man, and he think he know better, and he got my offense looking like this.
Mm-hmm.
1 year after Aaron Rodgers, and what did the Packers do?
Yeah, and I actually thought when we heard that like Rodgers and LaFleur weren't seen eye to eye, I thought that was it for LaFleur because I thought they were going to sign with Rodgers and keep him, bring in another coach, and kind of be good enough some years to be a playoff team, but not really ever be a contending team. Because we've seen Rodgers in the playoffs the past few years with the Packers. Subpar performances. So if he does sign with the Steelers eventually, I guess we'll talk about this one more time. But yeah, it just needs to happen already and get it over with.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
With these throwing sessions with DK Metcalf, I don't care about the half-ass melodramatic theatrics. Put the pen to the paper and go away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so damn glad when Aaron Rodgers and LeBron James retire. My God, I might run a lap around my house.
Yeah. All right. Let's switch to the NBA right now. And I think I'm going to start with, because we started the NFL with their sort of expansion talk. The NBA is looking for some expansion of their own and not the, league expansion where, Seattle and Vegas seemingly are going to be the next two teams in the league. But the NBA is thinking bigger than that. They're thinking Europe. And the way it's basically going to work is the NBA and FIBA, which is like the governing body for international basketball, come together and creating, I guess, what would be like NBA Europe. And once again, I feel like this is something that you could probably ask, like, why hasn't it happened yet? Especially when you see the international wave that's come through the NBA over the past couple of decades. Why the NBA hasn't like turned around and established the league over there? Like they've done like their camps and all that kind of stuff, like Africa and Europe and all that, but an actual full blown league, I think it'd be interesting. So now you could potentially see like the next Luka playing in NBA Europe and then coming over or something like that. Because Luka did get his start with like Real Madrid and then came over here and all that. Once again, like with the flag football, do you see any reason that this does not happen?
No. And the one thing I will point out, FIBA and the Euro League, they don't necessarily see eye to eye.
Sure, yes.
So I feel like FIBA's working with the NBA to create this league to kind of directly compete and beat out the Euro League.
Mm-hmm.
Off rip. Just petty.
We do see that in other sports, I will say.
Yeah.
Because it's actually happening in the US now. The US has MLS, which is their soccer league, which I know not everybody wants to talk soccer. But the USL is like the league underneath MLS, but they've said we're going to expand our league out to now compete with MLS. So it does happen in other countries as well. So, yeah, but you can continue.
I I like it. Gives us more. Now make it readily available in the United States as well.
Well, that'd have to, yeah. You figure with the new contract, that even at worst, if it's like they're on Amazon or something or ESPN Plus, yeah, I'd watch it all day. What's going on, Pavel? Yeah. Trying to see if there's any other updates on it though. Yeah. Well, it does say that they have met with like investors and all that, arena developers. Yeah. So it definitely seems like it's something that's going to happen. It's just a matter of how long does it take to get going. But yeah, I assume if Silver's going to do this, it's going to be part of the next contract, and they'll carve out some space on one of the streaming platforms to show it. Just another sport to watch. Like I'll watch EuroLeague as well. Now my question would be, because a lot of the European leagues play a more physical brand. I'm hoping that the NBA then doesn't like NBA, like put the NBA touch on Europe and make it
Please
a little
don't.
softer. Please, yeah. I would hope maybe with the Europe influx, it then translates over here to being a more physical game. If that happens, then make this happen next season. Like I'm all for it.
That other stuff. Don't do that. Do not NBA-itize European basketball.
Yeah. I mean, Europe plays under different rules with goaltending and stuff like that. So I do want to see how that works out as well. Like, will FIBA use this to use NBA rules in Europe and give fans like the contrast or what? I don't know. There's like so many details that obviously need to be hammered out with this one that once something else breaks, we'll obviously have the update for you. But stick with the NBA, Jokic. We got to talk about Jokic because it seems like the coronation's been there like all season. That SGA, it's his time to win the MVP. He was a runner-up last year. He's having a great season. But are we making a mistake with that? Because it's kind of hard to not recognize what Jokic is doing in Denver right now. I mean, the man the other night put up 61 in a game that they lost in double overtime because Russ blacked out, missed the layup, fouled the guy.
That's all we got to say.
Russ they lose that way, and it's just like, another performance. 61. It was a triple-double, 61-point triple-double. And once again, we talked about this with football. That V for value is a big part of the award. If you take Jokic off the court in Denver, that team is vastly worse off. And I was not to say SGA, the same effect isn't in OKC, but I think my question basically is Jokic now underrated because of the way that we're talking about SGA being the MVP? I think ESPN said they had like a straw poll with voters, and SGA was still leading amongst the straw poll. I've seen MVP rankings on NBA.com. They still have SGA as number one. So is Jokic now either underrated or underappreciated?
I think it's Jokic fatigue.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like, and I get that. You don't want to vote for the same guy for like 5-6 years in a row because then it just
because I've seen it happen where you get tired of voting for the same person and da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm thinking that is Jokic fatigue because you can't really argue with his numbers. He's averaging a triple-double. He's averaging 29.7 points per game, 12.8 rebounds per game, 10.2 assists per game. You can't argue that. He's third in points, third in rebounds, second in assists, 8th in field goal percent shooting. Mm-hmm. That's MVP caliber.
Yeah.
And before I let you have it again, Marcus Morris' delusional ass decided to go on First Take and say anything about Embiid being better at anything. Oh, my Braves finally got a win. Breaking news, the Braves won a game. God. Granted, we beat the Marlins, but
You got to win those
to
games.
win.
Yes.
That came across my screen. I just had to break the news. The Braves won a baseball game, y'all.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna happen. I was starting to get loony.
Yeah.
Back to Marcus Morris saying that Embiid is better than anything. Going on First Take in national television saying Embiid is better than Jokic at anything. What is a lie? Our third host decided to make her appearance. Did I wake you up?
Hi, Bella.
And I'm like,
I mean, Embiid has one thing, I would say. Embiid is more athletic because Jokic just isn't athletic.
we don't get to see that damn athleticism because he
Right.
stays on the damn floor and on the injury report.
Yeah. That's the one thing he has. That's it. Everything else you give to Jokic.
I'm like, please don't ever have Marcus Morris Sr. ever on First Take ever again.
Yeah.
The Lakers are going to win the West. OKC ain't done none yet.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even the wildest thing he said. The wildest thing that he said to me, which is how I know he don't damn watch basketball, was I wouldn't even take OKC over the Clippers. The Clippers. The Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
OKC ain't got experience. And what do the Clippers do in the playoffs with experience?
I mean, I can almost give him a pass for that because I've heard other people really start falling in love with this Clippers team. Now they do it with a bunch of ifs. The if Kawhi's healthy, if Harden plays a certain way, if. It's kind of hard to rely on ifs when you get to the NBA playoffs, but that's neither here nor there. OKC's getting this treatment like the Celtics had last year. To some people, until they prove they can do it, they're just going to keep holding it against them. Experience, youth, all that kind of stuff. And look, eventually they're going to break through. So it could happen this year.
They have a champion on that roster in Caruso. He knows what it's like to go through a playoffs to get there and win one. And we know, and I'm not saying that like Caruso is a scrub. He's not a scrub. He's a very valuable piece for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And last year was a learning experience. So Marcus Morris just sound like an idiot. Oh, just OKC hasn't done nothing yet in the playoffs. What did you do in the playoffs?
It's like I said, it's the common thread that they don't want to I guess elevate OKC before OKC does it, because we have so many people out here who will say stuff because they don't want to be wrong, so they kind of go with the safest answer or whatever. But it's hard to kind of ignore what the Thunder have done this year on the court, defensively, how they play. I know Shea has gotten some attention for his foul shooting, how many fouls he gets. I mean, look, that happens. It just works that way.
He's grifting for those fouls, and you know it.
Mm-hmm. But there are people who can control that. They have a whistle. Don't blow it, and then he'll stop doing it. But if they keep blowing the whistle for him, why wouldn't he keep doing it? Like that's where it's hard for me to get on, SGA and his style of play. Because I said it with like LeBron, Trae Young, James Harden, these guys who are like the poster players for flopping, it could have easily been stopped if the refs stopped rewarding them, because they would have to change their approach and do something else. It's like that simple. But,
And another reason why I think Marcus is an idiot is like you
mm-hmm.
say these things about Jokic, like we know that there ain't beef there.
Mm-hmm.
You just mad because he clipped your brother in the back. Because your brother tried him on some crazy crap, on some dirty crap.
Yep.
We all know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit here and say stupid stuff because you just don't like Jokic. I don't know what it is about these people and being jealous of Jokic. Jokic must be the it dude. Because you got Shaq ass is hating and jealous of Jokic. You got Marcus Morris
Mm-hmm.
and probably Markieff.
Probably, yeah.
It's safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just jealous.
Yeah.
Embiid slightly crying about an MVP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because nobody saw this coming from him. He was the unathletic big who played slow. And I think, so many people thought like the athleticism of the league might slow him down. We've also learned that Jokic is a pretty smart player as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at playing angles and all that. So it's the same thing. I mean, once again, to bring him up, Brady, because of where Brady was drafted, nobody thought he was going to be the player that he was, so they hated on him. Brock Purdy went through that. You're Mr. Irrelevant. Then you show you can play on a team that goes to NFC title game, but people don't necessarily believe you had anything to do with it, so they hate on you a little bit. So whenever these analysts and stuff feel like they missed the boat on somebody, it's so much easier for them to try to drag that player down than to admit you misjudged them.
And what did Brock Purdy do after people were still hating on him after the NFC Championship game appearance? What did he do? Turn around and go get a Super Bowl. Now, granted, I don't blame him for that Super Bowl. I blame Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
Because he forgot how to coach.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't that he forgot how to coach. He had his head far up his behind again.
Yeah.
And he coached like it. But I'm like, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the Jokic hate that some of these people like to portray is a little astonishing. I'm like, Jokic hasn't done nothing to you.
Mm-hmm.
That man don't even like you. He want to go to his horses.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. They're hating on a guy that probably doesn't even know that they're hating on him, because we know full well when Jokic goes home, he's not turning on SportsCenter.
No, he's not.
He's not watching First Take in the morning. Like he probably has no idea what Marcus Morris even said about him. I kind of respect it, but they should know that all this stuff they're saying is they're just blowing into the air, because Jokic, unless people like on Jokic's circle tell him about this stuff, he is not watching you hate on him.
Now his brothers might.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They don't play no games, and Marcus Morris knows that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stop being a hater.
Yes. So I think, I guess looking at the two of them, because I guess it's going to be kind of fascinating to see if the Jokic voter fatigue ultimately wins out here, which I guess it's tough saying it that way, because it's like if SGA wins it, it makes it seem like he didn't deserve it. He's put up really good numbers. I think if you look at it, Jokic is the more valuable player.
This is giving me Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Jokic is more valuable, because if you don't have him on that team, okay, like if you take both of them off their team, I have more faith in Oklahoma City than I do in Denver. Off rip.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma
Yeah.
City is a better team, even without Shy, SGA, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
than Denver is without Jokic.
Yep.
Like you got to realize, Aaron Murray, not the golf player Aaron Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long week, y'all. Um,
Sorry.
they
Yeah.
can't lead that team.
Mm-hmm.
One of them can't be the superstar.
Mm-hmm.
They go through Jokic, and we know that. Russ has been playing a lot better because of Jokic.
Yep.
Oh, Dwight Howard's going to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I don't hate that.
I mean, he can stop crying about being left off the top 75 now.
That's what I was saying. Is just going to bring that up again. The top
Yeah.
75, because it'll be how's he a Hall of Famer and not in the top 75, whatever.
He better let that go.
Right. Because they're going to do a top
You got a
100.
gold jacket. You getting one.
Yeah. They'll do a top 100. You'll be on that, and then you'll get the recognition finally. But yeah, let the 75 go. They're not changing the list now. That list
I'm
is.
imagining Shaq. Shaq gonna find something to hate about. How much you want to bet that they're gonna find something to talk about on TNT on Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
He ain't gonna do it on Tuesday with Candace and them. He gonna do it when he got his buddy.
Yeah.
Shaq gonna say something. No, Charles gonna instigate it.
Yeah, Vince will shout him out for sure. Like they'll recognize, Dwight getting the Hall of Fame bid.
Shaq won't be petty when Vince shouts him out.
Right. Shaq
It's
might
not
say
until
congratulations. Yeah. But Thursday, yeah, it's gonna be a different vibe.
Thursday, he's gonna say some hating stuff, and I promise you, I'm willing to bet anybody $20 that he says some hating stuff next Thursday.
And if he doesn't, I wouldn't put it past TNT to have like some video package showing all the stuff Shaq said about Dwight Howard.
I bet you Kenny's gonna bring up the Superman thing and it's gonna set Shaq off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so look, we know Carmelo's in, we know Dwight Howard's in.
I feel old.
I mean, that does start happening.
I feel really old because even with the Football Hall of Fame, I'm like,
yeah, you've reached
I
that
watched
point.
you play.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Julio going in 5 years. I will say that he's for sure first ballot. You know, Julio Jones retired today.
Yes,
he going.
Well, NFL is a lot less predictable. Because the NFL, because they've been so selective with the guys who have gone in, they have such a backlog of players that are still trying to get in. I don't know if Julio goes in 5 years. I'm trying to think.
If he don't, it'll be a miscarriage of justice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It'll depend who he's on the ballot with. Because I can't.
They just now got Sterling Sharp in there.
Yeah. Well, Sterling Sharp was hurt, with the length of his career, because he had like a bad neck injury that shortened his career.
I'm not mad at Shannon for crying to get his brother in.
No, Sterling Sharp was a really good wide receiver. He really was. It was, like I said, it was just the longevity of his career hurt him. But yeah, he should have been a Hall of Famer. So, but yeah, Julio will eventually get in. I don't know if it's first ballot, depending on who he's up there with. But look, 5 years time.
Should have been a first ballot. Yonda should have been a first ballot.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the NFL one is a lot less predictable. The NBA one, since it is the Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA. Carmelo was a champion at Syracuse, multi-time Olympic gold medalist, so it was easy for him. Dwight was an MVP. He didn't go to college, but did Dwight win Olympic gold? Probably.
Yes.
And, he was a defensive player of the year. So the accolades were there for both those guys.
Look, I'm still thinking that Shaq on Thursday is going.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to set
there's
Shaq
gonna
off.
be something. Yeah, it's either he's gonna do it on his own or somebody's gonna lead him into a trap. Okay.
That's sad how predictable they've gotten.
Yeah.
Cause I know, cause usually Kenny instigates stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like Charles. I like Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
He could be borderline a hater,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not nearly as bad as Shaq.
Right. Right.
He's the lesser of two evils, but when they're together,
Yeah.
a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I said, like you said, I definitely agree that I think Barkley's gotten a bad rap, but he, in his own kind of way, like, okay, let me see how to say this. Like, you figure that the Charles you see on TV, that's just who he is. Like, he comes across as a guy, like, if you walked into a restaurant and Charles was just there, you could probably just have some conversation, you'd get some laughs out of it or whatever. I think with Shaq, and Shaq does this to himself because he does Tuesday nights and Thursday nights and acts differently on both programs, where it's like, so is Thursday the act or is Tuesday the act? Like, which, whatever.
We know Tuesday's the act.
Yeah. I think that's what is hurting him amongst viewers for sure.
We know Tuesday is the act. We know the real Shaq come out on Thursdays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen Charles on the March Madness broadcast. He's the same from inside the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Any podcast that he gets on,
Yeah.
same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Shaq, you never know what you're gonna get with him.
Exactly. Okay.
And mind you, random. I'm watching YouTube the other day, and I see, you know how YouTube like to kill you with these ads, bro.
Yep.
I literally locked my phone and went to bed when I saw an ad for Shaq gummies. Like, get this off of my phone.
I've seen those in the store. Yeah.
I'm not picking those up.
Yeah.
I went to bed after that.
Yeah. Look, Shaq will put his name on any product. He doesn't care. Get money from something. All right. Okay, so look, let's go to our final topic, which I'm gonna believe will probably trigger final burn, so we could put that up there. Ja Morant. The Ja Morant story, because we talked about last week with Taylor Jenkins, that like was the first little bit where we were wondering what Ja Morant's, I guess, role was in the Taylor Jenkins firing. The team came out and said Ja Morant had nothing to do with it. But then it seems like the past couple of days we've been seeing stories that Ja Morant was unhappy with the offense. And one story I saw, it was to the point where the Grizzlies were either going to have to fire Jenkins or trade Ja Morant. It had gotten that bad. So obviously, fired Taylor Jenkins, which means they sided with Ja Morant. So what has Ja Morant done since then? Get fined for a gesture, get warned about said gesture, and then continue to do said gesture to now $75,000 fine.
And then
his social media part of it makes it worse too. Because he's trying to act like the league's like targeting him or something.
No, they told your black ass not to do that. And you did it anyway. Hours after they told you not to do it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? It's a lot of negativity surrounding me and da-da-da-da-da. Your hard-headed self did something the league specifically warned you against doing. Not even 24 hours ago, you do it again.
Mm-hmm.
That is such. I expect that's toddler behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell a toddler to not do something. They go do it, and you look at them like that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Cry all you want to. That's what you get. Because I told you not to do that.
Right. Because Ja didn't even give us like the normal athlete response where something is pointed out to them, they'll pretend like they're consciously trying not to do it for like a couple of games or something and then revert back. This dude skipped that whole period, was like, so you're going to fine me for this? I'm going to show you I'm going to do it anyway and then see what you do to me. Well, they took money from you. Now,
They
ultimately,
warned
for what he
you.
makes, 75,000 isn't the most, but they're telling you they're serious about stop doing the gesture.
I know Adam Silver, like with Adam Silver, after I'm like, if I'm Adam Silver in the back of my mind, I'm like, do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because you made me a fool 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Twice with the gun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This one, now, I let you off easy with a warning, and you play in my goddamn face and do it hours later.
Yep.
If I'm Adam Silver, I'm seething.
Mm-hmm.
Because doing that is a blatant sign of disrespect.
Yep. Or you just think you invincible to everything.
Exactly. And I'm like, as far as the whole Jenkins thing, if Ja was that unhappy and all of that other stuff, he don't know what really goes on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm telling you, the front office was emasculating Jenkins and his power to coach. They wanted that thing run a certain way. Jenkins didn't want to do it that way. And when he tried to do it the other way that was working, they told him to switch back. We know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
So,
we're going to be completely real about this whole job thing and Ja's contributions to this Taylor Jenkins thing, his foolishness from the past few seasons has destroyed the momentum of this roster.
yep.
They have not completely recovered from it. And the roster progressively gets worse. Younger, they're talented, but worse.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about some negativity. Newsflash. Look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm still tripping on the fact that the NBA warned you yesterday. No, 2 days ago. To not do that.
Mm-hmm.
You do it a day later, and now it's negativity because you get a $75,000 fine.
Right. Right.
Y'all gonna
Like,
stop playing in people's faces.
right. He's acting like they're taking some sort of joy out of the game or something by telling him to do that. And it's just like, you signed on to play in the NBA. You don't get to call your own shots. There are people who are ahead of you who look at more than just you on the court. They're looking at sponsors. They're looking at all this. And to have you out there, especially after that summer of stupidity, as I like to call it, that you had.
This. No. That's not a good look. And you feel like they're singling and targeting and singling you out. It's because you have that under your record. Mm-hmm. You had that under your belt. That's public record. We can all pull those articles up from that summer. Yep. That's why they don't want you doing it. And that's why they're singling you out. Your own behaviors has caused this.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about some negativity. Negativity that you caused. You caused this. Mm-hmm. It's not everybody's attacking you. And this is the second time you done did this woe with me negativity type stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
That's his way of avoiding accountability. And that's the one thing that pisses me off about Ja.
Yes. And when you're looking at Ja Morant's situation, because they don't have veteran leadership on that team, he's the defunct leader in Memphis. And this is what the leader of your locker room is doing. And then ownership basically siding with him in the Taylor Jenkins thing. The next coach that takes over that job, it's like, am I going to win with this guy? Is this guy going to be what I need when you get in the playoffs? You know, your team's struggling to score and you're looking to somebody to kind of uplift the team and get you out of a rut, this is the guy you got to rely on. Because there's a good chance he may give you a bucket that you need. But then he's going to do a gesture and get a tech or something like that. And then it's just like, is this the guy? Does he have it? Because look, I've said before he did his stupidity on Instagram and everything like that, Ja Morant was probably going to be face of the league type material. He was seen as a good guy. We kept seeing stuff with him and, young fans and everything like that. And he seemed like a good guy. And then for some reason, he's completely done a 180. Because with the gesturing stuff, I started seeing online the people who were pushed back and be like, this guy is trying to be so gangster when he went to school at like a private school in the suburbs, and everybody keeps bringing that up, that he's not about this life that he's trying to portray. And I don't get why he's doing this, because he's been around long enough to know fans can kind of smell when you are BSing, and they'll relentlessly go after you. If they think that you are genuinely being you, they'll let you be you. Look at Draymond Green. Draymond Green's a nut on the court.
But we all know
Golden State fans love him because they just know that's Draymond Green. But Ja Morant's out here trying to act a certain way and then dig into his past. He's not that. And it's just like, is he trying to sabotage his career? Is he trying to sabotage his endorsement opportunities? Like, I don't get where his end game is with this 180 he's done all of a sudden.
Because
was his boys clowning him and he was like, I'm gonna show y'all. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me why he's doing this.
Because he in Memphis.
That is kind of true. I had a teacher who lived in Memphis and I heard some stories, but learned something new during that semester about Memphis, but
that you don't want to be in there. That's one of them places you ride through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless you're protected.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they at least got off the winless side because they won their first game without Taylor Jenkins the other night, which good for them. But it still doesn't make that situation any better. Because it's like, for those of us who don't know, like behind the scenes, it's just not a good look. And then this stuff with Ja, not a good look. And it's just like, what is Memphis doing as a whole? Like this offseason, Memphis needs to get some of these veteran players back. Because Ja obviously needs somebody policing him in the locker room. Because who's going to do it on that team? Jaren Jackson? No. Desmond Bane's got like tree trunks for arms, but, he's not going to tell Ja Morant anything.
Desmond Bane is built like a T-Rex.
Yeah. It was like, he's not going to step to Ja Morant because Ja Morant's probably going to be like, bro, I'll have you traded. Like, what are you doing? Then everybody else is kind of, young guys and guys who don't have the pull.
About winning a championship. They're so unserious.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to go out and get that grizzled vet who's been there and done that. You know what they need? They need an Al Horford. Or a Drew Holiday. That's what they need. Oddly enough, those two could be available after the season. Yeah.
And that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you want that to happen. But
right. Yeah. And now it's like, one thing this has kind of done, it makes Memphis almost must watch when you get to the playoffs, because now you just want to see like how big the implosion will be. Like if they're first round, they're down like 3-0 in the series. What does this Memphis team do? Like does Ja Morant go out there, play through the motions, like clearly checking out, and they just get swept to like I don't know. It's just like I got to see how they react in the playoffs now. Because in some locker rooms, you say stuff like this would galvanize them and they would start playing for each other. I don't know if Memphis is that locker room.
In both teams where we had mid-season firings, how'd that go?
That's also a good point. Yeah. All right. I mean, look, those are the topics I had. So, final burn is all yours because oddly enough, I couldn't really come up with one.
I kind of went in on my little rant about Marcus Morris and being an idiot.
Yeah.
I will say, please keep him off of First Take. Takes that I saw on First Take were absurd, preposterous, unreasonable. They were biased. They were ludicrous. They were insane. A bunch of tomfoolery. Yes, I'm bringing out the dictionary. Mm-hmm. Yes. Dense, simple-minded in a name. Don't put him back on First Take. I'm tired of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And a name means stupid or lacking sense.
Yep.
Significance or ideas are also null and void, which can be applied to a lot of the stuff that he said. Oklahoma City ain't doing much. Null and void because that's a freaking lie.
Yep.
And the next one, I promise you, I didn't think I was going to talk about this one, but I just had to. It might be two because I think I might rip Jerry for doing the whole Micah thing. Ravens fans in this whole anti-parasocial obsession with Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I'm like, y'all are typing out long ass paragraphs talking about you want to get rid of the man and do all of this other stuff, and he did it. You're disregarding his entire career as if he hasn't been one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends since he's been in the league. Mm-hmm. Over one bad game. You guys are melodramatic, you're theatrical, you're unnecessary, you're impetuous and rash.
Yep.
Quit being irrational. Now, if you just want to let him walk, I get it. Because you got other people you need to start paying. But say goodbye to that tush push. Y'all don't run the tush push with Lamar. You run it with Andrews.
Mm-hmm. Well, they'll just run it with Isaiah Likely. Because that's what they're pushing Andrews out the door because they think Likely can take on a bigger workload, which maybe he can. But they're just so quick to dismiss all those years where Andrews was the guy in the passing game. All those catches over the middle, laying out. Subsequently, the injuries he kind of sustained, constantly playing over the middle. And yes, you never want to have a bad performance in a playoff game, but to reduce his whole Ravens career into that one game,
2 damn plays
is not fair to him.
It's ridiculous.
I've seen commercials with him with charity stuff, so clearly he's a member of the community and does work there. And the fact that they're so quick to move on from him is a little alarming to me.
Again, the only untouchables to the Ravens are Harbaugh and Lamar.
Yep.
Everybody else is trash. It is disposable. I promise you, if Derrick Henry don't get to 1,900 yards next year, I promise you, you're going to hear it. Mm-hmm. Or if he has a slip in performance,
yep,
you're going to hear it. Get rid of him. We shouldn't have extended him. Washed. I know a couple of I know a Ravens fan that called Derrick Henry washed until he joined the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I feel like at a certain point, people will probably start figuring out who we're talking about. But
No, I'm not gonna let him. I'm not gonna forget that because he spent the better part of 2 years spent saying
mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry is washed and injury prone. 2 years after a foot injury,
Yep.
and now we got Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because every year it's the same thing. The Ravens have a good regular season. They get to the playoffs. They come up short. They got to blame somebody. It was Greg Roman, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. Remember, Zay Flowers was blamed. And yes, Zay Flowers had a wildly up and down game. He had the fumble at the goal line, trying to stretch into the end zone. But that's him trying to make an effort. I know it was a bad play in hindsight, but I can't get mad at a guy trying to do a little bit extra to get into the end zone.
I'm not saying the devil's name. I'm not about to ruin the rest of my night.
Right. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like Mark Andrews, like if anybody deserves a mulligan, it's Mark Andrews. But hey, if I think they could do it without him, sure.
R and Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They gave Harbaugh an extension. They're talking about Lamar extension. Although you did bring up Derrick Henry, he probably will be the next one in line. If they come short this year, he'll probably be the one they blame.
So if they give Lamar an extension and Derrick Henry an extension, that means some of that defense is going to take some sacrificing. Ooh, a downfall. Mm-hmm. I see precarious things on the horizon.
Yeah.
I like to see it.
Which, I mean, they did let some defensive players go the past couple of years. Because Patrick Queen, he left because of not having money to pay him. Went to Pittsburgh. They lost like some corners this offseason, but none of them are the big names. Now the big names are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon Humphrey, whatever. Kyle Hamilton, guys like that. They're starting to come up, and what's Baltimore going to do? You dangle Kyle Hamilton out there, I guarantee you're going to lose him.
They're not going to do this again like they did with Lamar, which is collude to get you to pay him.
Yeah.
You dangle Kyle Hamilton out there, somebody going to snatch him.
Mm-hmm. I am kind of interested to see what they do with Marlon Humphrey. Something tells me they're going to extend him.
They're going to extend him. You know they're going to extend him.
Yeah. Especially after they lost a couple of corners. Yeah, they probably will. Which, good luck with that. Mo, I mean, yes. People used to get on Brady for doing that because they're like, oh, what kind of message is that sending? I don't know, that he just wants to win. Like, you don't need to make $60 million to act like, you're some great player or something. And, Jory and I will do this every year. Till Lamar actually wins a ring, like, we're going to keep calling him out for his shortcomings. I don't care how much he gets paid. If he does not win a Super Bowl, you're going to look back on his career and be like, was it worth it?
Now that you're extending Harbaugh, you're going to have at least 3 more blown playoff runs.
Yeah.
At least 3. If you don't end up having to blow up your roster before then.
What are the chances Todd Monken makes it through that 3-year extension?
2.
Exactly.
Greg Roman was the problem. What Greg Roman have the Chargers looking like?
Mm-hmm. Greg Roman was the OC for one of Lamar's MVP seasons, so he clearly knew what he was doing then. But, whatever.
But that's all I had.
Okay. No, that's good.
Wait a minute. No, that's not all I had. Because who
Okay,
the
go
hell
ahead.
does Jerry Jones think he is trying to backdoor Michael Parsons' agent?
Yeah.
Jerry.
I don't get that one either. Well, technically, I think that's kind of the Steelers' proposal for the rule change. So clearly, Jerry probably knew it was coming, waited for it to be approved, and was like, "I'm gonna test it right now." I, if there's one person who's gonna make situations awkward, it's Jerry Jones.
Like, if I'm Micah, I'm looking at you funny.
Well, it
Like, I'm
depends.
like,
Depends what Jerry told him. If Jerry told him some crazy contract, he might be like, "Okay,
but Micah's also,
I can look past you not talking to my agent if you go offer me that."
but Micah's also delusional too. So there's that. But that's all I have.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. That was our final burn segment. Um, if you are new to the show and the channel and everything like that, we take some time at the end of the show, talk about some players or situations that kind of got us annoyed. So I had to touch on John Morant and Jerry Jones. I feel like final burn might have been the Trey Hendrickson stuff earlier as well. So we kind of worked in a couple of other ones. But yeah, so appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure you give us a like, follow, subscribe, depending on the platform you're on. Share it out. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're back here next Friday for another edition of Passionate Precision. But Jory, got anything on the ad before we get out of here? Let them know what you got going on.
I know I was on here last week talking about a video, but I've been sick this week. So you'll get it tomorrow. And I mean it.
Yeah.
Click the notification bell on my channel and you'll get notified when the video drops. I'm recording tomorrow, I promise. And I'm definitely gonna have another article out soon. It's probably gonna be because I didn't talk about what I think about sports media and coverage and stuff like that today, because I know that how I feel right now, we'll be here until 2 o'clock in the morning just listening to me rant.
Yes.
So look for that article, look for my video, and then within the next 3 weeks, my NFC video should be out, and my NFC article will be out soon. So I got two articles, two videos that I'm working out. That's about a month's worth of stuff. So
Okay. Yeah. I guess just to show this quickly. Wire to Wire website. Go there. You can find episodes if you missed any from the shows. As Jory alluded to, you scroll down right there. Bam. Got Jory's article there. I have an article up there as well. There's other articles for you to read. So if you just want more from the network, go to the website, check it out. Greatly appreciate that. So I just wanted to show that before we got out of here. Yeah, so I am also working on an article for the network as well. You'll see me back on here Tuesday for On the Ball. And if you go to my channel as well, right there, you can check out some of my solo stuff as well. So appreciate all of you. Really do. Make sure, like I said, back here next Friday for another edition. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler by then. We will definitely touch on that. Both of the tournaments will be over by then, so we might get like a last word from us. Actually, I didn't even know. I'm assuming South Carolina probably won because before we came on here, it seemed like they took hold of that game, and got UConn, UCLA coming up, and then you got the men resuming tomorrow, and so yeah, by next week we'll have champions and everything like that, and we'll talk about that as well, and we'll be closer to the playoffs. So a lot of fun, good stuff. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy your weekends, check out all the other stuff on the network, and we'll see you here next week. All right, bye.
go Braves.